them 3 deep into the 33-degree banking of turn 3 at Talladega. Unbelievable racing. Baker in the number 1. Oh, we got a spin, a crash. Richard Petty is involved. A tremendous tangle at turn 3. Cars spinning, careening all over this racetrack. Petty among the cars that tangled. One of the 2 Petty automobiles in this field here. There is the battered machine of Benny Parsons. This field is going to go under yellow very early in this race. Well, this is not an unheard of circumstance at Talladega.
Here's a replay on what occurred in that incident in the middle of the pack. You see Benny Parsons and Richard Petty apparently touching, quite unusual for those 2 veterans. Parsons listing up toward the outside wall, giving Petty not enough racing room. Looks to me, Dave, like they're of the Skull Bandit race cars. Connie Saylor, who flipped so terribly at Daytona in February, is involved in that yellow number 4 on the roof of the race car. And, of course, the field behind bearing down at better than 190, approaching 200 miles an hour. Tim Richmond, the Indianapolis 500-mile race rookie of a year ago, in that red and white number 99, just barely missing the disabled Connie Saylor car as it coasted down toward the infield. There's son Kyle coming right up behind that pack.
Well, you remember the last time we saw the stock cars on ESPN? Richard Petty had a similar circumstance. He was involved in a big make.
Continue to keep pace with the leader. Where's the problem? In the first turn, a car slams the wall with the ends over end. A terrific accident here. More cars spinning, more colliding with the wall. One car completely airborne and fire on one of the machines. A serious accident here. The race has been clean to this point. No trouble at all, and numbers will start. And here is the accident again. We'll slow it down for you. In the upper right-hand corner, there is Yarborough, Waltrip, and Parsons, all running right together. Now we'll look carefully. As Waltrip turns into the wall, Parsons right behind him. Cale Yarborough loses control on the low side. Richard Petty gets through this accident as Parsons begins doing oscillating flips. Yarborough comes up, takes out Foyt. Foyt carries other cars to the wall. Now Parsons continues to flip and comes down on the top of Ricky Rudd's car. Rudd, already having lost control, continues to spin along with Parsons. Now some flame, it looks like an oil fire, as Parsons continues to flip end over end. And cars go helter-skelter everywhere. Parsons ends up upside down.
The largest speedway we run on, it's the fastest speedway we run on, it's the easiest speedway we run on. It was designed and built for 200-mile-an-hour racing, and therefore when we're going 200 miles an hour here, it's relatively comfortable. If you lose a little respect for that speed, you're going to get in a lot of trouble here. I guess you'd have to say it's a sleeping giant, and we're all giant killers, or we think we are anyway.
He seemed to do it with almost ease. The fact that he could move by that quickly, he picked up the draft of Cale Yarborough and just moved right around.
They are in turn 3. Earnhardt has moved to third spot. A car spinning to the bottom. It is Neil Bonnet in 75, and another car hammers the wall. Car slowing, trying to get away. One car head on to the wall. A terrible crash at the beginning. The front of the field is coming across. Car number 76. Potter ends up down in there. There are at least 4 or 5 cars involved. Neil Bonnet's car breaking away at the top of turn 3. That is Neil Bonnet out of car number 75.
Bonnet was on the low side of the racetrack, Ken. It looked like he broke traction as he started off at the turn. There's car number 78, Richard Skillen. Dr. Skillen is against the outside wall. And here is Dave Marcus, car number 71. He was also involved.
And that looks like
that is Grant Adcock,
who had the trouble on the starting line.
Yes, he did. He did get the car to going. Incidentally, his dad...
That car really hurt.
Yes, it is. But Grant looks like he's okay. His dad is president of the Chamber of Commerce in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Short day here for Grant. He's not going to be able to give Chattanooga much exposure.
Front end gone, back end gone. They want an ambulance for Grant Adcock as he extricates himself from car number 29. He's been 5 years away from the races. Back here today, making a return to the high-speed wars this weekend at Talladega, a track that has dealt him more than his share of despair. Dr. Skillen, who cut his teeth up on the Claremont Speedway in New Hampshire, walking away from car number 78 in the second lap.
turn 4. There you see the 64 car of Tommy Gale on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. We're going to have another look at it, and Ed Jarrett will have an opportunity to, let's see if we can find out exactly. Well, there you see 75 low, and we need to look at that again to see if anything was near him or if he's just down on the bottom.
He almost looked as if he was trying to get down off of the banking of the turn, Jim, because he was so far down below the other cars. Of course, once he made his slide, other cars not knowing what he might be going to do, which way the car was going, they started making maneuvers, and you don't make much of a maneuver at 200 miles an hour. The car will get away, as we saw it here. Several cars, as you can see, getting into this mammoth crash here on the second lap. At these speeds, when something goes wrong with one, you can see that it can affect many, many others. There's the car number 74, the yellow car of Bobby Walwack, who now makes his home in Midland, North Carolina. He's formerly from Villa Park, Illinois.
Here go the couple of Chevrolets back in front in the Great American Race.
Oh, a spin at 3.
There's trouble, lots of trouble up in turn 3.
Joe Ruttman has cars crashing each other all over.
Harry Gant almost went up.
Haley Yarborough's in it. Did Elliott get through or not? I think Elliott's been tagged. I thought I saw Bill Elliott. There's the Harry Gant car. I think Elliott is just to the right of your screen. I thought I saw him slide to the grass, and I believe that may be him there. There's the Cale Yarborough car, and there's the end of Joe Ruttman's car, badly smashed.
Bill Elliott's car is down there on the grass, I think.
Boy, he really took a lick, Joe Ruttman did.
No.
Then Harry Gant came along and ran up on the side, almost turned...
Ran over him.
Yes, almost turned the car over. Ruttman, you can see him moving around in the car, so apparently...
We have now gone through we are into our 7th caution period, and let's take a look at what started this incident. There's the first car breaking away. There you see the tremendous impact on Ruttman's car. He was head-on into the wall, and it looked like it was Bonnett's car that started. There's Harry Gant leaping. Over there is Lake Speed spinning.
And that's Bill Elliott getting sideswiped there.
Here's Mike Joy.
The work is methodical on caution.
Here's another picture of what happened here in turn number 4. One car away, that's Lake Speed away. It climbs up the banking.
Harry Gant and Joe Ruttman got together there pretty good, didn't they?
Crash.
Yeah, Ruttman had already been into the wall and came back down, and Gant just ran over the top of him. And really, there's nowhere to go. When you're coming around there at almost 200 miles an hour, you're slowing down, but there's not a lot of room out in front of you. You see, Darrell Waltrip did weave his way through the pack there.
It's a bowling lane.
It really is.
Still not sure what it's done. Still not sure who really started it off.
Lake Speed was one of the early cars involved, and the Neil Bonnet car.
Neil Bonnet was definitely one of the early ones to go sideways. Let's see.
Here's Chris. Maybe he can give us a little insight.
About 4 laps ago, and he's been steadily rising. He just passed Dale Earnhardt about a lap ago. Bobby Allison is next up. Son Davey should be next. You can see Earnhardt, the yellow car still in the picture. But Buddy Baker, who has a lot of sentiment among veteran observers, as one of the real...
Oh, we have a problem.
Allison is blowing a tire.
Bobby Allison with a horrible crash here on the front stretch. It has torn out a complete section of protective railing separating it. Alan Kowicki becomes involved.
Debris and is collecting other cars. There was a lot of debris in the front stretch. Kowicki was involved. Richard Petty, I think, is another one of the cars. Lots of debris on the front stretch. Now, Bobby's car, to me, appeared to stay together quite well. He did get up into the fencing, but not into the stands.
And it was close, though. He has torn out a whole large area of guardrail. There it is, protecting the crowd from the racetrack. And he came very, very close to going into the stands. The car became airborne and went flying literally into that wall and catch fencing. But fortunately, it did stay onto the racetrack. Bobby Allison is moving around in the race car, and that is certainly good news for us, but he has to be quite shaken after a tremendous crash. The red flag has been brought out, and quite frankly, Larry, I think we're going to have to be red for quite a while because we cannot race with that protective fencing in the shape that it's in. It's just not safe for the spectators.
It's pretty obvious why it was there, happening right underneath Harold Kinder. It wasn't the fence that caught him, but they have built the cement wall here at Talladega just a little taller
Bobby's
than most
out.
racetracks. There's Bobby getting out of the car. I told you that Bobby's car, though, was heavily damaged. It did stay together. The integrity of the roll cage is intact. The crowd is giving Bobby a very warm welcome out of that machine, but the car lived up to NASCAR standards.
Larry, I think a tire blew. I think I saw a tire coming apart while he was right here in the tri-oval, nearing the starting line.
Right rear, it begins to shred, and the car goes out of control. You're at 210 miles an hour. You can see the right rear going. You see the debris there on the left-hand side of your screen. Earnhardt avoids Bobby. The car goes backwards. The aerodynamics get underneath the car, and Allison gets up into the fence. The aerodynamics lifted the car. They're not built to go backwards. Right underneath Harold Kinder. Harold, he stayed in there. Boy, I'll tell you, talk about a trooper. Kinder is right there. He's got the yellow flag out right away. That is a veteran, confident flagman. Here comes the rest of the field down. They've decelerated to maybe 180 miles an hour, but all the debris, there's Petty, there's Kawicki spinning. There's just nowhere for many of these drivers to go because there's so much of what was left over from the initial impact on the front stretch, and there was just nowhere to go.
And tires began to explode, too, as they ran over debris caused by the Allison crash. Well, it's very rare that you see that catch fencing do its job, but it sure did its job here at Talladega today, as if it hadn't been there or if it had not been as strong as it was, Bobby Allison's car would very clearly have gone into the grandstand right below us here in the broadcast booth. There's the tire going.
Here's another angle of it, and we'll just let you watch it because we've covered it well.
There goes Darrell Waltrip going by without becoming involved in it, but as I said, as the cars came down now, they were running over the debris of the Allison car and tires were blowing, and therefore they became involved in the crash. There's Petty, Alan Kawicki, Phil Parsons made contact with the Bobby Allison car. We understand that it's brand new catch fencing up here, and boy, we just salute the people here at Talladega for building it as strong as they did. There is a stretcher that we can see down there, a couple of stretchers, as a matter of fact, being lifted into the grandstand area, so perhaps there were some spectators that were hit by flying debris.
Back underway, Cale Yarborough was trying to take the lead from Darrell Waltrip, but much like Richard Petty in the first race, his car breaks loose. He backs it into the wall. Didn't do too much damage, though, Ken.
However, the four-time champion of the Daytona 500 ignited these fireworks right behind him. It was a 190-mile-per-hour demolition derby. Cale talked about it later.
Cale Yarborough, nobody's won more of these 125 races than you, but it was a real thrash out there today. What happened anyway?
Well, Dave, I really don't know what happened. I was drafting along with Darrell, and I came down the front stretch, and I had a good run at him, and I pulled down to pass him going in turn one, and Darrell stayed on the outside of him, and I guess it just took all the air away from my spoiler, and the back end got off the ground, just came around on me.
What about Sunday? You got a shot still?
Well, you know, we always got a shot. I got an 87 car, and that was the only 88 Oldsmobile we had, but we're going to pull the 87 out, and I won it here like that one time before, and we'll try it again.
A lonely seagull plays the role of vulture over a race car graveyard here on the back straightaway, the Daytona International Speedway, and here's the reason why.
One person backed off, put his brakes on, someone else hit him. It became a chain reaction, Ken, and all of those cars became involved.
In all, 8 cars were involved. There you see the Yarborough car spinning, and then the fray began further back.
Involved were Jimmy Means, Mark Martin, rookie Ed Pym, Ken Reagan, Ronnie Sanders, Cyril van der Merwe, Michael Waltrip, and look at Earnhardt get through on the outside in the black car. A miracle he made it through.
Dale Earnhardt grew up in the town of Kannapolis, North Carolina.
Bad trouble, bad trouble.
Okay, a terrible crash. Richard Petty's car is turned over 7 or 8 times coming off turn 4 and was just struck by another car. It's one of the most violent accidents we've ever seen at the Daytona International Speedway here as leader Darrell Waltrip squeezes through. Petty's car nosed into the wall and then went sideways and barreled end over end and then side over side time after time. A terrible accident involving the man who has won this race 7 times over the years. Alan Kawicki in car number 7 was involved. His car is limping towards the pits, and there is the damaged number 43 STP Pontiac of Richard Petty out there on the track. It was really happened at one of the highest speed sections on the track, and we trust that Petty is okay in the car. Phil Barkdahl was involved in number 73.
And we're trying to identify which other car. There's number 23, Eddie Bierschwal, Jeff Bodine in car number 15, and of course, Richard Petty, the man who has won 200 races in NASCAR events. 50-year-old grandfather from Randleman, North Carolina, is still in the car as a safety man, and the ambulance crews are out there now trying to minister to his needs.
It was one of the worst accidents we've seen here in quite a while, Chris. As you can see, the damage to the back of the car. Now the safety people are there as the other cars weave their way through. This is Trevor Boyes in car number 20.
Eddie Bierschwal.
Eddie Bierschwal in car number 23. He hit the wall very hard with the back of his car.
And it looks as though Bierschwal is okay. They don't seem to be concerned themselves too. But parts of Petty's Pontiac are all over the racetrack. It's going to take a long, long time to clean up this damage as they're running the cars through the pits now.
Because of the debris,
right,
on the racetrack.
So the racetrack has moved down to pit road now from the track itself due to the debris that has come off of Petty's cars that crashed over and over and over after hitting the outside wall at high speed.
Most of the drivers are, as they're coming down pit road, making pit stops, as they normally do on caution flags.
107 laps complete. Let's take a look in replay at what has happened out of turn 4.
Richard Petty was running in a pack of cars, and the back end starts to go around, and looks like it might have been tagged by the car number 73 of Phil Barkdahl, and you can see Petty's car just cramming and turning over up against the wall, and other cars coming in. There's Barkdahl hitting him as he came by, and the Eddie Bierschwal car hitting one of the tires that came off the car.
From another angle. That looks like the crash at Darlington years ago, Ned.
Fortunately, it was staying on the nose of the car for so long, Ken, so it didn't look like it was really taking hard bounces down onto the pavement.
And it dispels some of the energy. You must remind the viewers that these cars are built to take these kind of crashes. And there's Phil Barkdahl hitting the cement wall right in front of us. The chrome ollie frames that serve as a roll cage up under the roof to keep the car from crushing down on the driver.
Let's take a look from Ricky Rudd's vantage point.
107 laps complete. Another caution for the moment. Looks like a jury punch.
You can see the trouble start in front of him there. Whether the 73 car hit number 43, the 73 being driven by Phil Barkdahl, or Alan Kulwicki was in the middle of it too. And
Today was one of the fastest cars here at the Daytona Speedway. In the final time he was on the track, that Oldsmobile really running well.
At 7:30 this morning, Rick Wilson came in to have breakfast. Whoa, look at that.
Oh, one car out of control, Lake Speed spinning, Rick Wilson in the wall, and there is a melee behind them. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cars crashing and exploding down into turn number 1. Go the remains of the field.
in fact, just about every car behind Rick Wilson and Lake Speed, as they tangled in the tri-oval here, just about every car got involved that was behind them.
A multi-car crash just 2 laps after a restart. There you see the 67, the Mickey Gibbs car, Lake Speed's machine. The 77 Connie Saylor is involved, and others. Let's see if we can note some of them. There's
Rusty
the 31
Wallace was
car.
involved.
Rusty Wallace is involved. Here's the 21 of Neil Bonnet, the Wood Brothers car. There's the Purolator car, Derek Cope up against the wall. At least a dozen machines.
Here's Rick Wilson with the front end completely gone from his Oldsmobile.
Let's see if we can find out, fathom how this all came about.
Rick Wilson attempting to pass the car number 83 of Lake Speed, and they touch, and it sends Speed crossways, and
Kulwicki gets through in the 7.
Just barely gets through, but then they begin blocking the track. Everybody else trying to take evasive action and getting themselves involved. Nowhere to go.
From another angle.
Okay, you can see Speed's car is already sideways. He slams into car number 4. Here's Neil Bonnet getting pressed against the wall, then shoots down across the track, as does the car number 4 of Lake Speed. One car almost getting up on the wall, the car number 32.
Phil Duffy.
Which is Phil Duffy.
Here's the 27 car just coming back onto pit road. Right front tied up, and we can get a wider look at what happened here in the main straightaway, tri-oval area, the 18-degree banking.
Okay, Rick Wilson just had a nose down under Lake Speed as Lake attempted to go to the inside groove, and they hooked their bumpers together, started Lake spinning around, and then everybody behind them got involved.
This incident has claimed 14 automobiles out there.
Talking about Benny Parsons, a former winner of the Daytona 500. He's home watching on television today. I guess Benny probably just couldn't stand to be here to watch that first race of 1989.
From the in-car camera of Rusty Wallace, those laps back, pulls himself right up behind Phil Parsons in second spot.
Back in that traffic, Ken, is Darrell Waltrip, where he did not want to be, in the middle of a group, as he said before, and it's quite heavy.
Car in trouble. It's Jody Ridley. The number 9 car has crashed to the back straightaway. 84, Mike Alexander has crashed. Here's Jody Ridley trying to get it fired. Dale Jarrett getting tagged there, right in front, and several more cars. A major incident at lap 73. Dale Jarrett's car is down, Jody Ridley is down, and several others.
Well, he's on the outside, and the car just all of a sudden veers into the wall. It looks like he might have blown the right front tire on the car, because it just went straight right, and then other cars behind them started slowing down and hitting each other, and a bunch of them getting involved in it.
You can see Dale Waltrip went right through it to escape with the skin of his teeth.
So did number 11, Labonte. Watch this again, tighter look.
Okay, there were 3 deep there. Mark Martin was in the middle, and Jody Ridley all of a sudden just shot into the wall. There's Chad Little in the light blue car in front. Here's Darrell Waltrip going by on the inside, and here's Terry Labonte coming by the white car, spinning around the white and red car, but he does go on through. Maybe that's not Labonte, because I thought yeah, here comes Labonte going on through. That was another red and white car that was spinning around.
Lake Speed was also involved. From inside Jody Ridley's car, here's what it looked like coming out of turn 2. This is the Bill Elliott car.
Oh,
slams the wall.
You see the sparks going through the cockpit.
He is going to be sore tomorrow, right down to Dave Despain.
Junior Johnson's first vote. They got a lot of games to do in a shorter period of time.
Now, if the front cars, we see these cars, oh, here comes Schrader, he's trying to pass. That's going to slow him down just a little bit. But if Schrader's that much faster, maybe he will take him a little bit faster than Earnhardt can. But if those cars in front stay hooked up and stay in line, I don't think his guys will ever catch him. Oh, trouble up in turn 4.
We have a crash. First major crash of the afternoon, as a matter of fact, in turn number 4. You can see several cars spinning off the track, including Richard Petty. Ernie Irvin has also spun. A major crash here. Michael Waltrip in the yellow car is involved and has suffered some damage.
There's one of the Miller cars up on the racetrack.
Larry Pearson, badly damaged in the right front of that car.
Larry hit hard. Some fire starting to burn there on the right front of Larry Pearson's car.
He's broken the fuel pump off the automobile. There's the
Derek Cope car. Ernie Irvin in car number 2.
Chad Little going by. There's Hut Strickland, the number 57 car that was involved. So our first major crash of the day yesterday of the accident. See if we can determine where and when it happened. We see 2 cars that are up into the wall at this point.
That's the car number 10 of Derek Cope.
That's Kyle Petty sliding on the bottom of the racetrack, and up high must be
that's Pearson up against the wall on the outside. We see Richard Petty spinning on the bottom of the racetrack. Looks like Rick Wilson coming through.
Here's another angle. Michael
Waltrip into the wall, and he comes back into the Pearson car, and there's where Pearson hit the car's wall so hard, and you can see fire at that point also coming out of the car.
That was definitely the best angle of that crash.
I guess that's Kyle Petty that's spinning. front car that's spinning.
And there's a car went right over Richard Petty. That was Hut Strickland, car number 57. But Richard Petty did drive away, but Hut Strickland just went right over the car. There's Bobby Hillen going through, and Dick Trickle. They're going into turn 1.
Oh, and Lake Speed is
on the roof.
Flipping down the backstretch. The car rolling over several times.
Dave Marcus involved in it. Looked like Jimmy Spencer's car was involved. Here comes Hut Strickland spinning around. Jimmy Means in the back of the pack got by. He'll pick up a bunch of positions.
Lake Speed's car apparently hit the outside wall and just started tumbling down the racetrack. There you can see the very badly damaged Oldsmobile. Bullseye barbecue machine on the inside of the backstretch, and the caution out on lap 144. Happened.
Well, it looked like Lake Speed was trying to shoot up through the middle there as they were drafting for position, and perhaps got tapped by Sterling Marlin in the blue car behind and shot him into the wall. The car started going over and over, and you can see the car's trying to move around him. There's Dave Marcus, hit him hard. Here's Jimmy Spencer. It looked like down on the inside. He got in on it. And here comes Hut Strickland in the car number 57 sliding out through there.
And from another angle.
I think that Ned said it just right. I think that there was contact between the 83 car and the 94 car Sterling Marlin. And Dave Marcus gave Blake a pretty good rap going down through the grass. And look at the windshields. Look at the debris, the dirt flying from these automobiles. You know, it's hard to watch these shots and tell when these cars are running 180, 90 miles an hour. But when something like this happens, folks, it's easy to tell just how fast we're running.
And one more angle now.
Well, he's already on his roof there and rolling over as the other cars come in on him now. Darrell Waltrip going by on the outside. And you can see Dave Marcus in car number 71 hit him pretty hard there.
And again, once you get onto the grass, the car really will begin to spin.
Well, these cars are built very well in the roll kit. And there is Lake Speed. Well, good deal. He is walking into the ambulance. Let's go down to Jerry Punch.
Well, that is absolutely a testimonial to how well NASCAR mandates these cars must be built. I was just standing on pit road talking to Robert Harrington, the crew chief for Lake Speed, and he told me Lake, after flipping and rolling and getting careened off by a couple other race cars, popped their headset radio and said, "Please tell Risa I'm okay. We've lost a race car, but we'll race again." So
laps from Sterling Marlin challenging Kyle Petty. We've got trouble out of turn 4.
Jeff Bodine, Michael Waltrip, Rusty Wallace. Car number 10 of Derek Cope. Neil Bonnet was down on the grass.
Could be more to come.
Darrell Waltrip, he just barely misses it. Here comes the other cars. They don't know whether to go high or low. There's so much smoke out there.
Rusty Wallace, the front end, tattered badly on that one. And his shot in the point standings. Really in trouble here. Jimmy Means. Oh, that's unfortunate for Jimmy Means, who's had a good run here today. Michael Waltrip's car badly thrashed and on fire. They're taking him out, or trying to get him out of the car right at the entrance to pit road. The Bahari Racing Team car, Mike Waltrip.
This is what the drivers are concerned about. This infighting, this close competition leads to this type of accident.
Turn 4.
Well, Jeff Bodine in the yellow car on the left of your screen coming off of turn 4. And you can see the car breaks loose all of a sudden right in front of a big pack. That's Dale Earnhardt going by, and then he clips Michael Waltrip in the car number 30, Rusty Wallace. Here comes Jimmy Means in the blue car getting involved. There's Derek Cope in car number 10. You see Neil Bonnet way down on the bottom of your screen. I don't think he was involved. He just cut down to the inside. You can see him now coming off of the grass. I think he got through the wreck okay.
Ned, could you call that driver error?
Well, I don't know. No, I don't think so. Something maybe happened. It looked like he might have cut a right rear tire or something of that nature because the back end went out from under it so quickly.
There wasn't anybody alongside, and it would make you think that he had the car pulled out from beneath him.
Come on, King. What are you doing down there?
He's showing muscle early in the race. On the first lap, he goes 3 wide into turn number 3 with Greg Sachs in the middle and Derek Cope on the outside. And here we go into the 4th corner now.
Boy, somebody's got to give there.
3 abreast racing. Look at this. Coming out of corner number 4, they touch. All 3 cars are touching as they come down through the tri-oval, but everybody maintains position.
Wow.
Oh, no. Sachs is in trouble.
And takes Petty with him.
And we're going to have a terrific crash here as Nearly all the field is going to be involved in this crash. There are only about 10 or 12 cars that survived this melee just past the starting line.
When you have cars that near to the front get in trouble on the front straightaway, they take up the racetrack, and practically everybody got involved.
I think there are 12 cars that made it through. At least several cars are now pulling away from the scene of the crash, but there were just numerous cars involved in the action. You can see the smoke and the debris on the racetrack down just past the starting line toward turn number 1. Let's take a look at it once again.
Well, as they come off of turn 4, they are 3 abreast. Greg Sachs in the middle. He touches the outside car, then down on Petty, and they come into the tri-oval here, and they get together once again, and around they go, and then everybody starts getting involved. See, the track is just closed up. There's nowhere for people to go.
Looks like that Derek Cope and Greg Sachs made contact just prior to Greg losing control.
Very reminiscent of a crash in the 125 event here a year ago at Daytona.
And it looks like we're going to red flag the race. Here they come again.
And the red flag has been displayed on the racetrack. The cars are being told to stop near. We have again a replay from his in-car camera. This is how it looked to Dick Trickle.
Going again. He couldn't see much through there, and he couldn't do a whole lot either.
Now let's take a look from Chad Little's car.
Or you can see him turning that steering wheel, trying to get it headed in the direction he wants it to go, but it's going to go where it wants to go.
And now let's go inside Buddy Baker's car.
Man, that hurts sitting here.
But the Daytona 500's elude him. He's won everything else here. The 400 in July.
Whoa,
one car in the wall. Wallace slams the wall on the outside. Another car breaking loose. Derek Cope spinning to the line.
And Darrell Waltrip in the pits.
Darrell Waltrip.
Oh, Derek Cope.
4 more cars right here at the start finish line. Blowing tires. Caution is out.
Hut Strickland and Harry Gant getting locked in together there. Well, that was one of those calamity corner efforts again, coming off the corner there.
Harry Gant's car, badly torn up.
Ooh, going up.
That's Hut Strickland's number 12, all torn. As you watch these replays.
There we see Rusty Wallace really seemed to be all on his own when he set. We'll have to have a look at that again, I'm afraid.
The radio is saying he feels he was tagged by Kyle Petty. We need to look again.
We need to go back a little bit further than that to see what happened. What happened, Cope? He did
Derek Cope's car
spun up onto the
Strickland car.
And then that Harry Gant had nowhere to go, and he ran into Strickland.
Bounced him down to the inside.
Okay, here we are. There's Kyle Petty down on the inside, the green car.
Yep.
He might have touched Rusty and
just
got him around.
The front, didn't he?
Yep.
Took the nose.
And he slams hard down to the inside.
Rusty Wallace owns, what, about 24% of that car, and Don Miller, and the majority owner is Roger Penske, but Rusty has a piece of it.
Driver's eye view of the whole ghastly schmozzle as it takes place in front of him.
Rusty Wallace walked to the ambulance, going in for a checkup. Let's look again from this high angle.
That's the 3 cars there, just at the behind the lead car, which is Dale Earnhardt.
There's Kyle down on the inside, and And there he does just slip up into maybe touching Rusty just a little bit. And Rusty's car goes out of control, collects Waltrip down on the inside. Then we see the red car of Derek Cope spinning around in the middle of the pack, and then he's going to spin back out in front of the grid.
Let's look at it here.
Ernie Irvin in the yellow car. Yep, he's definitely leaning on the front of that car of Rusty Wallace.
Yep, he did clip him just enough.
Lucky is Rick Mast, unlucky Waltrip.
And unlucky there again, the back of his car coming off the floor there.
One of the unluckiest right there. It's mandatory. They must take them to the field hospital after they get a piece of the wall.
And Jimmy Spencer goes right to the back bumper of Darrell Waltrip as they drop down the backstretch. Tremendous side-by-side racing and a crash. Mark Martin's car lifts off the ground but does not go over. But this crash is going to involve several cars.
You see Hut Strickland in the mud. There's man in the mud outside. And there's Joe Ruttman.
It was bound to happen. Lake's speed is damaged badly, so is Rusty Wallace. The Sunoco car of Terry Labonte on the right side of your screen is damaged. The race for the caution flag comes down.
Three-fourths of the field wiped out.
Darrell Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt, and Earnhardt had the advantage by about a bumper. Look at this. Looks like a parking lot. Looks like a junkyard back in the backstretch. Jimmy Means. There is Wally Dallenbach Jr. and Mark Martin's Fords that have been heavily damaged in this crash. And Mark Martin's car got way up off the ground.
We saw those strips coming off the roof of the windshield. That was the outside windshield strips that hold the windshield in, or supposed to. It left in Mark Martin's car.
You just felt like that something was going to happen, and here's how it started.
Mark Martin was down on the inside. Ernie Irvin got between he and Kyle Petty, and they touched, and around they go. Look at Mark Martin's car go up in the air.
Comes back down on all four wheels, and meanwhile behind them, those fellows have no place to go. Ernie Irvin is now spun up in the outside wall. Kyle Petty is spun, the first three cars.
And another angle now in this crash that has taken out several cars. Watch Ernie Irvin.
Yeah. And Ernie Irvin got into Kyle Petty. That was the first thing that happened.
And watch, we see the windshield fly to these automobiles as they turn backwards.
And then several cars become involved, sliding into that wet grass and into the mud puddles. There's Hut Strickland throwing up a big spray as his Buick moved through. Rick Mast slides through the wet grass.
Bill Elliott.
That has knocked everybody out of this race. There are only about, what, 15, 18 cars that made it through. A replay from the in-car of Hut Strickland.
Hard on the gas. All of a sudden, oh, something hit the windshield. See, the windshield stays in the car. That's the straps we were talking about. And we saw all the water that it went through.
It wanted to pop out, but it didn't because of those straps. Now here's the other in-car carried by Lake Speed, Phillips 66 in-car camera.
There we see the contact. Just a little bit of the windshield pops out, but those braces are holding that windshield, a major part of the windshield in.
And the view from Dale Jarrett's car.
Martin way up in the air.
See, Dale almost got through, but then he got hit and knocked him right into the wall. That camera continued to work, though.
You know, Ned, that crumpled hood is altogether too much. I mean, it's becoming too familiar.
Yeah, that front five is going to pull away from him.
Rusty Wallace and...
Morton's loose. He won't be able to correct it, fellas.
Shepard and Bobby Hamilton collide. Several cars slide toward the infield. This is very reminiscent of last year's crash, but I don't believe we're going to see any cars get upside down. Let us hope not. Several slide to the infield and to the banking, which separates the grass there from Lake Lloyd. A lot of damaged machinery. However, it appears as if all cars stayed upright.
Something's hit hard. Here it is again. Shepard's down on the inside of Ricky Rudd. The back end just gets loose. Rusty came up there pretty close behind him, took the air off the spoiler, and back end got loose, and he just could not correct it.
Now, see, he's got the wheel turned to the right. That's what brings the car back and sends it across the racetrack. And
right
there,
into Bobby Hamilton.
Bobby Hamilton had no place to go but right in the side of the 21 car. Now here comes Stanley Smith. Is he going to be able to dodge him? Looks like he does, but he goes down and hits the dirt on the inside.
Alan Kulwicki was also involved in that, and I think Bobby got on the brakes. Hamilton got on the brakes, and he was rear-ended by Alan Kulwicki, who perhaps was blocked from what was going on in front of him. Here it is again from another angle.
And we can watch the cars behind him. Mark Martin just barely gets by. Looks like the 7 car also hit the 21 car is what it looks like.
Yeah, right. It didn't hit Bobby Hamilton, but it did hit the 21 car. So several ending up the second group of cars.
Spin coming off turn 2.
Several cars involved in a spin off of turn number 2. And a car continuing on down the backstretch. Just about in the middle. Stanley Smith is one of those involved.
Stanley Smith almost made it through, got on the grass, and just simply couldn't keep control into the outside retaining wall.
So our first caution of the race comes out.
And he is gone and away. Just a lot of grass underneath the car. It doesn't look serious from this side.
Looks like there's a little bit of damage on the right rear of the car, but Dale will go back on competition, and Mickey Gibbs is getting a windshield change on that car.
A lot of times when the cars spin around, the pressure from the inside will pop the windshield out, and apparently that's what happened.
See if we can determine what happened.
Well, I was looking over in turn 2, and I saw 3 cars get three abreast coming off the second corner, and all of a sudden they just lost control. I think they made some contact coming off the corner, and those 2 cars started spinning and really and truly left no place to go for the cars behind them. There we see cars going through, luckily getting through. There's Brett Boat. That was Stanley Smith that went through, lost control, hit the wall.
Jimmy Spencer went by up on the outside. That's Greg Saxon, the white 47 on the right of your screen.
And now from Lake Speed's car.
Oh. Was that Ted Musgrave in the 55 car?
Yep, they touched. As looked like Lake tried to go.
They have to have several in line. They just won't go by themselves.
What about the conditions for the driver in a car with the right side closed up in all this heat?
Well, it's not hot. It's not a big
Ooh,
hot.
trouble down in turn 1.
There's a major wreck developing in the first and second turn area. 1, 2. There's Ernie Irvin's car getting collected. Rick Wilson is in it. Richard Petty slowing down. The Harry Labonte getting caught by Musgrave in the 55. A major incident developing in turns 1 and 2. This is at lap 104. They're racing back to the line. Here you see Jimmy Spencer's car crawling into the infield.
Major damage there.
End of the day for him. Field running back to the line. Safety,
and of course, the caution is waving.
Toward position here. They're staying down on the grass as they go out to turn 1. Field coming by, being blowed. It'll be Sterling Marlin across the line first. Mark Martin second as they come to the line. There's the number 4 of Ernie Irvin, all torn up. He was collected in that incident. Again, it was lap 104 where it all broke loose up in turns 1 and 2. Jimmy Spencer clambering out of car number 98. What a bad break for Travis Carter. Harold Elliott's going to go to work. And let's see if we can see what happened here in turn number 1. Where did it begin?
Well, Ernie Irvin
car number 4
slipped sideways going into the turn. Now, whether he was tapped as that Buddy Baker right behind him, they're running awfully close together, and then he backs up into the car number 68 of Bobby Hamilton, and Rick Wilson right there with nowhere to go, and that's Spencer's car on the left up against the wall. Richard Petty spinning down on the inside. You can see Dale Jarrett getting down on the flat. He got through the mess.
Ernie Irvin took a left and a right there. Looks like he was collected by Lake Speed after he was initially hit on the outside. You see Wilson's car coming down. So it looks like a 12-car melee down here in turn number 1. There's the second part of that incident. That was late in the action. It just happened here on the first and second turn up on the 33-degree banking. Again, it started near Ernie Irvin's car.
Well, it's ironic, Ken, that he would be in.
And they're about to make it 3 wide off the banking. Ernie Irvan down on the inside of number 4. Storms into the lead in the back straightaway. Ernie Irvan out of Modesto, California. Hits. He's into Elliott. They're sliding, trying to correct. Picked him up. Into the wall goes Sterling Marlin. And the leaders are all in trouble here. Richard Petty's car getting hit. A serious crash in the back straightaway. Petty is in it. Darrell Waltrip is involved.
Dale Earnhardt is involved. This is what happens when you get all the cars running close together again.
And look at number 2. Bad moment here for Rusty Wallace. Caution is out as 3 cars battle for the lead. Waltrip in the same area where he rolled over 8 times the 4th of July. This time he just slides across the grass. Irvan's car comes to rest. Rusty Wallace's car is there.
Okay, we're going to take a look now at the wreck as it happened. Sterling Marlin down on the inside of Bill Elliott, then Ernie Irvan came down on the inside of them. They all got together, couldn't get loose, and the other cars behind them just had nowhere to go once they started spinning. Here they're coming off of turn 2. See Elliott up on the outside in the red number 11, Sterling Marlin in car number 22, and
take a look at what happens here as the number 4 draws off that second corner from this vantage point. Neil?
Ken, I tell you, one problem we've had is when the cars get 2 abreast, that gives a problem. When they get 3 abreast, that's what really gives them a problem. It gets the cars moving around. The aero engineers told them, said 2 abreast is going to be tricky. 3 is going to almost be a certain wreck. Here they go. There's 3 abreast. They get tangled up. Davey Allison slid by on the outside, but these other guys, it's too late now. And there comes Dale Jarrett in. Boy, I tell you, he's running good, and he's wadded up in it. Here comes Mark Martin. He's in it.
Gets his
Earnhardt clips him at the same time.
Earnhardt took a far bigger hit than we might have thought. Kowicki in it. Morgan Shepherd got through Davey Allison in that early going from Richard Petty's camera on the top of that number 43. Watch this.
He's following along behind Alan Kowicki, and he has seen the wreck, so he cuts it down onto the inside, onto the grass area, and you can see the hood come up when he went across that grass. Apparently it knocked the front spoiler up, and he's taking a ride down towards Lake Lloyd. Spinning around.
Second, third time around for Petty. Here's Mike Joy.
Junior Johnson has the 10 snip. Michael looking for his first top 10 finish of 1993. Look at this, 4 wide.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's what happens.
Yep.
Oh, man, it had to happen with all that many cars running. It was 3 and 4 abreast.
Inevitable.
Greg Sachs spinning around. And these guys better slow down because
pace car moves out quickly to try to pick up the field and slow them down before they get back here. We've got about 5-6 cars that are littering corner number 4.
Tell you what, Elmo's got a lot of nerve driving down front of those guys running 190 miles an hour.
He slammed on the gas and got up ahead of him. There's Bobby Labonte. You see the 68 car, Greg Sachs in the background. I think Ted Musgrave is involved. There's the 14 on the left of Terry Labonte, and this is lap number 130 that we see our second caution. Lake Speed is involved.
The Labonte brothers, both of them, Bobby and Terry.
A lot of damage to the front of that car.
Yeah. A lot of damage. Well, here's what happened. These cars are trying to get through it.
You see Morgan Shepherd, looks like he must have some damage to his car. Rick Mascar's got some damage. Lake Speed's car.
Now Jimmy Hensley, I believe he got slowed down and came on through up on the outside. I think that's him up there in the white car up on the left of the screen.
Well, you see Rick Mass spinning. There's Musgrave.
Lake Speed.
Yeah.
Some problems.
Jimmy Means, Jimmy Horton.
Jimmy Means, you said.
Yeah.
Bill Elliott comes down pit road, and Jimmy Hensley goes by on the outside. Also, Wally Dallenbach, who just went back out on the racetrack a couple of laps ago.
Morgan Shepherd.
Morgan keeps it right up on the outside, but you can see there is some damage to the front of the Citgo Ford.
And the
in slow motion now.
Okay, they're entering turn number 1, Ken, and it looks like somebody got into the wall and then came back down into the other cars. And then there is a car going over the wall. It's a red car. It could be the car number 32 of Jimmy Horton. We think that's who it is, but we're not absolutely sure. And there's Rick Mast coming in there. The car number 37 of Loy Allen was involved in it.
Richie Petty's car was collected as well.
We're still not totally sure which car that was that went over the wall. It was a red car, and we're speculating only that it could have been the car number 32 of Jimmy Horton, but we'll get the official word and pass it along to you just as quickly as we can.
Loy Allen's car was involved. The Richie Petty car was involved. And there are the remains of the car that went over the wall.
And it looks like someone standing there with a helmet, Ken.
And got out of that.
Let's hope that is the case. The helmet goes off. And boy, if that's the case, that is very, very good news.
Great. And we've had a lot of good days here. And so, we just do the best we can. Well,
got trouble in turn 4. Major incident in turn 4. 7, 8 cars collected. Hut Strickland is in it. Kyle Petty involved.
Robert Presley was involved in it. Harry Gant is involved in it.
First caution of the day is coming at lap number 62, just as they came across for 63. At the track. Let's take a look now at what developed out here just moments ago.
Well, of course, a car had hit the wall on the outside, and then Chuck Bowen came on the inside of Kyle Petty, and they got together. Robert Presley had hit the wall on the outside, and then they just started going everywhere, nowhere to go. You see all the smoke. They couldn't see where they were going, and they started hitting each other. We'll watch it again at another. See, there's Robert Presley up against the wall. And then Chuck Bowen comes down on the inside of Kyle Petty.
12.
And they hit, and then they start hitting each other back there. Rusty Wallace got tagged from the rear by the 23 car of Hut Strickland, and that shot him into the wall. Of course, there's Hut in the car number 23. There's the car number 8 of Jeff Burton. John Andretti, now watch his car. He goes out of the screen, but he hit the inside wall hard. And there's Harry Gant spinning around in the green car. Here's another look. And you can see they just start hitting each other. And
watch Andretti in that orange and white car coming from left to right.
Yeah, he
hit that wall. That's a hard hit.
Yes, it is. Right on the left side of the car.
One more angle here.
Okay, you see the yellow car there hit Rusty right there, hits him and spins him around. Of course, I don't know where Rusty would have gone, but anyway, he was there. There's Bill Elliott threading his way through.
Watch Andretti's number 14.
And, of course, other drivers back behind. There's Dale Jarrett. He was pretty far behind this. He was coming into turn 3 as this was happening, so he's waving to the cars behind him. Slow down. We got trouble up ahead, and you can see
Brett Bodine. For row 3, it's Ricky Rudd and Chad Little. Row 4 is the 86 winner. That's Jeff Bodine and Michael Waltrip. In row 5, rookie Bob Schatt and Darrell Waltrip, the 89 champion. That's how they qualified, but not how they start. Practice on Wednesday, a miserable situation for many, including Michael Waltrip in the yellow car here, involved with Brett Bodine. Brett's car is able to come back out and assume it's... Here you see the 4 car down on the bottom. Up goes Mark Martin into the side of Kowicki, and away we go into an 8-car calamity.
Yeah, that move on the bottom actually broke the front end loose on the 6 car, and he drifted up and got into the other car. Looks like he just drove into him, but there was no control. The car was actually in the air off the ground.
And actually, Ernie Irvin didn't do anything wrong. He was 4 or 5 feet below Mark Martin, but the air pushing off of him was just enough to get Mark Martin loose.
Marlin closes in again. Just about like running an event in a pizza oven, and there's been...
And there's a spin. There's trouble.
Car upside down. Schrader. Like Schrader's number 25. Side over side, end over end. Another car in trouble and also getting airborne.
Terry Labonte is involved. His car spinning around on the grass. There is Elton Sawyer spinning around. Rusty Wallace there. There's Lake Speed. There's Rick Mast.
Bobby Labonte is up against the wall. Here you see Gordon in the 24.
Okay, he comes up and clips Ken Schrader, his teammate, and sends him around. Schrader's car going backwards. The roof flaps are up, and then he gets hit by Ricky Craven. And then that flips the car over.
He just drove in under him and turned it over.
And then other cars coming back with all the smoke and people slowing down. They start hitting each other, and lots of cars getting involved as we see Schrader's car continue to roll and tumble on the grass.
Jeff Gordon's in car. And I believe this is in slow motion.
Okay, there's Schrader up on the outside. And you can see him make contact right there and spins Schrader around. Gordon goes on. Apparently no harm done to his car.
Jeremy Mayfield giving us these pictures.
And there they're wrecking in front of them, and he hits Bobby Labonte right there, just gives him a little bit of a tap as we see Schrader's car going up in the air, and it spins Bobby right into the outside wall.
Yeah, Bobby ran into the 41 car.
Here's another angle.
You can see it had already started to happen there.
Craven coming around and spinning the 41. Mayfield, you see he has bounced off the 18 in Schrader's car.
So there's no place for those other cars to go.
In cars now at normal speed. You saw them in slow motion. Now take a look in actual speed. Gordon.
Okay, right there's where he clipped him. Gordon keeps going. Nope, Gordon keeps going.
You can hear that motor wide open.
Still wide open, which he done right.
Yeah, the 18 car looks like hit the 41 car.
Right,
the 98 car clipped the 18.
You see him weaving back and forth down the back straightaway, utilizing.
And here's trouble.
Back straightaway, one in the wall hard, and it catches the 18, puts Bobby Labonte up and over, and that's Brett Bodine's number 11. They got hammered on the outside, apparently into the wall, and Jeff Bodine, his brother's in it as well. You can see 4 cars all snarl as they...
Very, very nice. The car is very stable. As he comes off the corner, you'll see him just straighten up a little bit to go down the straightaway. Up.
That is Bodine tagging Lake Speed, catching Jeff Purvis in the 44, the guy that won that race 200-miler a week ago. And it looks like Robert Presley's been caught as well.
Bobby Hamilton is involved in it. Chad Little, Morgan Shepherd.
Watch the 7, bottom of the racetrack.
Well, they were trying to go 3 wide.
There by Bodine on the left rear corner.
Bodine goes all the way to the wall.
See Jeff Purvis there spinning in the 44.
Chad Little in the 97. Sterling Cowboy is just along for the ride at that point, getting taken to the wall. That looks like Bobby Hamilton in there down pit road.
Yep.
Or Robert Presley. Morgan Shepherd's car getting collected just on the end of that wreck. Got a low angle look from inside turn 4 here, buddy, that give you a pretty good idea what happened.
Wow. Jeff Bodine hit very hard on the outside wall. He gets into Chad Little there. See Jeff Purvis in the 44 car spinning round and round as he's coming at the camera. There's a car of Richard Petty, Bobby.
And Mark Martin running side by side.
Okay, Martin goes a little high there. Gordon gets into him. They both have to back off, and then the jamming up starts. And they get into the wall on the outside. Others start jockeying around. There's Derek Cope. He thought he got through that for just a moment, but Mark Martin's going to come right back up in front of him. And is that Ricky Craven?
Yes, it is.
Ricky Craven in car number 41 that's flipping over, went up against the outside wheel fence, back down on the track, and was hit again.
Yeah, he got hit again as the car was rolling toward the apron of the racetrack. So Ricky Craven is certainly one that we have a great deal of concern about.
Okay, here they are. Gordon trying to go on the outside of Mark Martin. They make a little contact, and it sort of shoots Martin out into the wall. Then Gordon comes up, gets tagged, and spins around. and Ricky Craven right in the middle of it. His car gets airborne. You can see it flipping up to the outside wall, just coming apart, and then is hit down on the inside by Elton Sawyer. It looks like the car number 27.
Ricky Craven may be out of the car. Well, we have an even more dramatic angle of this crash, Ned, and you can see Craven's car overturn there and fly up and then down the banking with several cars underneath as the car overturned in the air and came to the rest of the bike.
5 cars went underneath him as when he hit that outside wheel fence on top of the cement wall, and it threw it back across the racetrack, crossed over 5
Now
cars.
the real time on this angle. Watch this. You're right, Ned. 5 cars passed underneath.
Just listen.
We're in it, Donnie. We're in it. You can do anything. Okay, Steve, how about store up? What can you tell about it? Right in the middle of turns 1 and 2, and I'll keep you posted with glances.
And now from Mark Martin's roof cam.
Okay, this is where it really started. It's going to happen beside of him as he moves up the racetrack here. He'll touch Jeff Gordon. There you see Terry Labonte goes by, and then now they're coming in to turn 1. There's where he touches Jeff Gordon, John Andretti down on the inside, and then it breaks the everywhere.
We are under a red flag.
They can move right to the front if they work together.
Sterling Marlin staying just behind. Oh, we've got big trouble in the corner. Big trouble up on the bank, and they're still collecting them.
Once something gets started, boy, it's usually big here at Talladega.
You could see Ricky Rudd's car all rumpled in the nose, and the rest of them coming to a halt. Hut Strickland's number 8.
He hits Dale Jarrett just a little bit. He starts to spin. You see Jimmy Spencer making it by there. Now it's chain reaction behind him.
Dick Trickle, then Ricky Rudd comes into it. And you're right, chain reaction after that.
He's got up against the wall. It just got through it all.
Keep your eye on Darrell Waltrip. Watch him come through here unscathed.
Earnhardt on the inside and Sterling Marlin outside.
And Ernie going with Earnhardt down on the inside. That's going to hit. Oh, he touched trouble.
Terrible crash. Front of the field all torn up. Earnhardt's car destroyed. A major crash. Sterling Marlin taking off the gloves. Earnhardt's number 3. Head on into the wall at 190 miles an hour.
He almost got upside down. That car got very high off the ground.
Let's take a look at what happened to Dale Earnhardt and the rest of the field here in turn 1 as they battle for the lead. Ned?
Well, you can see Earnhardt is leading. Ernie Irvan trying to pass the 4 car of Sterling Marlin, touches him, shoots the left front of Marlin's car down into Earnhardt. Earnhardt into the wall, and then since they were at the front of the pack, lots of other cars came along and got involved.
Earnhardt rolling over in that incident. Another angle.
Boy, as close as it, you see Earnhardt's car gets upside down and gets hit there by
a Cope.
That's Robert Presley. That's Robert Presley in the 33 got into Earnhardt when he was upside down there.
But Cope was the first one, got him in the roof. Derek Cope in that 12 tangled with him as well as it was spinning and crashing. From the in-car camera of Dale Earnhardt at 190 miles per hour approaching turn 1. Sterling Marlin's pictures of this incident. And Sterling okay after that one. Dale Earnhardt has at least a broken collarbone. Another look.
Well, you can see the 28 and the 4 car touch, and the 4 car gets into the right rear of Earnhardt, shoots him right straight into the wall. Earnhardt's car gets on its roof, gets hit first by Derek Cope, and then the car 33 of Robert Presley comes along and hits him as well. And lots of other cars get involved. Simply nowhere to go. When you got that many cars running at that speed, that was the fastest part of the racetrack. When they came just past the start-finish line, well, there's going to be some big damage, and there certainly was.
The Petty car is in 9th.
Here comes Bill Elliott back on the inside off turn 4.
And trouble. There's trouble coming down off that banking. 1, 2, 3. Benson's car among them as they come to the line. Caution is coming out. That could be the final lap under green. And if it is, Gordon has won with Terry Labonte second and Craven third. Dale Jarrett caught up. And there you see Kenny Wallace in that incident. Brett Bodine's number 11 is involved. And there's the number 1 of Morgan Shepherd all torn up. Benson on the outside in the yellow car.
Bobby Hamilton gets into him right there, right in the center, spins him around, hits Skinner. There comes the
Joe Nemechek had absolutely nowhere to go. That's him right against the wall sliding down through there.
Dale Jarrett down on the inside with Kenny Wallace spinning around. Jarrett had got by it as far as being hit, and then gets hit again right there by Wallace. You know, just a victim of circumstances, all of it.
Right. For the second wild ride of the day with Dale Jarrett.
So he gets down off of the flat part of on the flat part of the track, then Wallace comes down and gets into him, or was knocked down into him, I should say. He didn't just drive it down there into him. Then goes up and hits the outside wall, and then Kenny's going to come back down once again and hits Jarrett.
197 now complete. Lake Speed was caught up at that in the number 9. Jarrett finally gets it woed. Another view.
You see Bobby Hamilton there. He just touches Benson right there on the left rear corners, and that sets a chain reaction off. You can see up on the top there, Joe Nemechek in the 73. Morgan Shepherd in the 1, now turned sideways, and all around them. Lake Speed's in that.
And for the second time today, Mike Skinner got out of something that you would thought he would have had no car at all. Earlier, he just missed by a fraction, and again. Kenny Wallace hit him once and got him again. Nothing Kenny could do. Dramatic stuff. Telestrator. Show you what happened here.
Right here. These 3 cars and Bobby Hamilton right in the middle, and you're going to see when we start to move it that his car is going to move up the racetrack right up into the 30 car of Johnny Benson. They make contact, shoots Benson down across the track, almost gets Mike Skinner. Then up there in front of Joe Nemechek up on the outside, Morgan Shepherd up there as well. Kenny Wallace loses control. Here's Lake Speed back there. Bobby Labonte down on the inside. Dick Trickle gets hit hard. Lots of good race cars torn up here.
Over half of the field has been involved in wrecks here today.
Back for the lead. Here comes Earnhardt trying to take a look. 5 laps to go. Jarrett hits high from Dale Earnhardt trying to take over second position. He's out there all by himself. And there's a crash in turn 1. There's a crash in turn 1. Several cars involved.
And Michael Waltrip's involved with Morgan Shepherd. This could be the battle for the victory.
Indeed it is. And let's take a look at what happened, Benny.
Ever see Ricky Rudd just gets the car loose, going down in the corner, goes up the racetrack, and the 21 car is going to make contact in the left front. The 77 car is coming along. He and Hutch Strickland make contact. That's where Hutch got the damage to the Circuit City car.
Now the onboard camera from Michael Waltrip.
Following Robbie Gordon down in the corner.
Can't see a thing when it happens in front of you, can you?
We'll see Michael's okay because he's still steering. He's torn all the pieces, but he's still steering.
At the bottom of the racetrack trying to get second place from Dale Earnhardt, and he may have it here. Jarrett has a half a car length on Earnhardt, and all this helps John Andretti.
And Sterling Marlin.
Look at Sterling Marlin. He'll make it 3 wide down the backstretch as they shuffle for position. There's Terry Labonte up on the high side of the racetrack, and Ward Burton is down in the grass as he tries to pick up position. Oh, and there's a crash. Trickle. God damn it. Come on. Mark Martin. Let's see who wins this race.
Oh, and Terry Cope flies on the side. Here we come off the line.
It's going to be John Andretti winning and Terry Labonte finishing second. The battle for third goes to...
And Mark Martin is trying to move his car. Here we go. We see Ward Burton down in the grass. They're actually 4 abreast trying to go in the corner. Mark Martin and the 90 car are going to make contact, also the 22. The 2 cars able to get by. Kyle Petty's able to get by. But watch Derek Cope. He's going to come in here and just plow into the 6 car.
Everything looks good here so far, but everything's coming along fine. Coming off of turn 2, heading down the backstretch. Tight running as they've been all day.
Jeff Gordon there, and the 24 comes over, touches the 98 car.
Gets into Marlin.
He hit John Andretti first, and it looked like it triggered just a chain reaction. You see Earnhardt in trouble there. He makes contact on Gordon.
Here's Trickle.
There's Trickle going backwards. You see the roof flaps employ.
There's Jarrett way down in the grass in 88, and up in the air, Jeremy Mayfield.
Car number 37. And there's Jimmy Spencer. There's Marlin.
There was a car hooked onto Marlin's hood. There's Jarrett sliding back up on the track as Steve Grissom whizzes by up near the wall. Bill Elliott trying to get to a stop, and Ted Musgrave with right front damage. And Bobby Hamilton rolling slow. Here's another look. Look right on the left edge of your screen.
Right out here.
Did he get bumped?
He did get bumped just a little bit by Ricky Craven.
His teammate. It's possible that there was contact front to rear. Let's see from Craven's
car. Let's ride and we will see down the back straightaway. You're riding with Craven.
Oh, there's the bump.
Contact between John Andretti and Jeff Gordon.
There was no contact between Craven and Gordon. Wow. From Mark Martin's car. Bumps against Ernie Irvin there as Irvin woes up. Martin trying to drive his way through it.
Oh, there's Sterling Marlin. Hard impact there. Ernie Irvin had nowhere to go.
And Martin gets hit again by Lake Speed. Wow. Here's another look. Watch John Andretti's car right there, coming over and touching Jeff Gordon. That initiated it.
Gordon went into the 4 car of Sterling Marlin. Gordon hits Earnhardt. Spencer, 31 car, Mike Skinner gets involved. And Jeremy Mayfield, his car goes up and over. There's Jarrett down on the inside. He slides back up on the track. Wow.
Let's ride and listen with Ricky Craven.
He just kept getting hit. Says, when is it going to stop?
Buddy, and look from that replay, buddy, from Craven's car as if it was.
Despite the problem on pit road, that 81 car is still running well. He is. Oh, and Earnhardt gets hurt. Elliott hard in the wall. Major crash here on the front stretch. A car upside down. That's Bill Elliott. And Dale Earnhardt was on his side as he came down through the tri-oval. A major crash here at the tri-oval. Car still.
We see a wheel rolling across the racetrack. Knocked the wheel off somebody's car.
And that is exactly what we were talking about. When the cars get bunched up.
And oh, man, what great news that is. That's Bill Elliott taking his visor up. He's taking his gloves off like he's in the garage. There comes John Andretti. And look at this car.
Oh, my gosh. And a fire burning there in the engine compartment. But we saw from the in-car camera that Bill Elliott was moving around inside. And, man, that is great news. The 9 car of Lake Speed has been severely damaged on the right front. Let's take a look at the replay of what happened when the cars were here right before they crossed the starting line.
There's Elliott. Ward Burton gets in the side of Earnhardt. Just touches him. Elliott in there on the roof, sliding across. We see Chad Little going down, hit Michael Waltrip. The 3 car gets banged from Jerry Nadeau, I think. Elliott's car now back on its wheels. We see Schrader down on the inside. Bobby Hamilton, heavy damage to Schrader's car.
Chad Little involved. Wow. A scary moment here at Talladega. Again, we take a look at Ward Burton making slight contact with Dale.
Oh, and Bill hit that wall so hard.
Camera worked all the way through. Here's the other angle of it. Up hard into that wall.
Hard in that wall. Unbelievable contact in that wall.
Fortunately, the car did not get up into the catch fencing as Bobby Allison's did several years ago. But boy, there is a lot of damaged race cars. But apparently no driver injuries from this major accident that's brought out the red flag in the Die Hard 500 at Talladega. Replays, let's watch them.
Well, we're looking at Dale Earnhardt right in the middle of the screen. He gets tagged by the 22. He goes down and just hits the 94 in the right rear and turns Bill head on in the wall. Now, the other cars behind, they have nowhere to go. We see Derek Cope spinning down through there. All in all, 19 cars involved. I mean, if you were behind, folks, where would you go? Another angle.
Elliott's car gets over on its side. It does not turn over completely because now it's going to turn back onto its wheels. But those cars that you see backwards and sideways, you would have seen airborne and maybe turning over were it not for the roof laps that were developed a few years ago by NASCAR.
And watch. Now you're back in Bobby Hamilton in the 4 car. Where would you go? There's no place to go. You just ride it into smoke.
Visibility is 0 with all the smoke that arises from the cars. Now with Mark Martin.
Just listen. And his windshield looks just like
Michael Waltrip says he has cosmetic damage. Let's see how it occurred. He's going to need a lot of lipstick and rouge to fix the damage that was caused by Chad Little.
Earnhardt pulls them around the 2.5. Oh, trouble! Off turn 4. Darrell Waltrip is involved in it. The 59 goes sliding. Martin Gibson, Dave Marcus, rookie Steve Hart, Ricky Rudd, and Ricky Craven. Kyle Petty darted down pit road to miss them.
43 started. 42 run. We have problems on the back straightaway.
Down the back stretch.
Number 3.
Being on the back stretch here.
in the 98, Green in the 46. Caution, bring out this 5th caution. Irwin and Little.
Chad Little in the 97 got into the back there. The 28 just barely.
Looked like the 28 was trying to get by him. They were side by side when that all started, and it looked like two guys trying for the same spot.
Of course, remember, Steve Park has an onboard camera. Let's see what we can see here. Now, he had nowhere to go, and he just took a shot.
Again.
Yeah.
And again. And again. And again. A comment about how he can feel the air. Well, that would help you in a situation like this, knowing when you're by.
He was the first car by that wreck on the low side there.
Yep.
Bill Elliott sneaks by.
Dave Marcus got through. Dave's running 24th. With a
car spinning up into the wall mid-pack.
It's Dale Jarrett, one of them.
Mark Martin is in it. Elliott Sadler, the rookie, and cars spin.
See Terry Labonte.
Steve Park is in there, 99. Jeff Burton.
Yeah.
Joe Neiman.
Jarrett right there as they head off in the corner. He goes down on the flat part of the racetrack.
He might have had a little bit of a bump from the 28 car, his teammate, as they went in there.
At 190 miles an hour, it's almost impossible for the brakes to slow the car to miss the incident. You steer for the hole and hope it's still there when you get there.
Boy, that track closed up in a hurry. When one car spun, as close as they were running together, they had to get a lot of other cars involved.
Add Ricky Rudd. Right there at the start of that replay, was there contact between Jarrett and the 28?
Yeah, it looked like there was just light contact, just enough to turn him down on flat and shoot him right back up in front of oncoming traffic.
Another angle. The cars you're watching, oh, Jarrett's already gone at that point.
And just shoots back up across the racetrack right into Terry Labonte. And then other cars, there's Mark Martin in the 6th car. There comes Ward Burton in number 22.
Jeffrey Bodine, he was the next to him there.
Robert Presley.
Someone's upside down there.
That was Bodine, I believe, that went on his route. Let's show you Dale Jarrett's view. Well, that showed you which car was upside down.
Brother.
From Mark Martin's roof cam. From Ward Burton. And from the Goodyear blimp.
Well, this will tell the story right here.
Okay, there's the 28 down on the inside of the 88 just a little bit as they start into that corner. And I believe they made a little bit of contact. And I think maybe what happened is Jeff Gordon had just gone by Jarrett going down the backstretch, and Kenny Irvin was going to follow Jeff Gordon into that turn. And Dale Jarrett didn't know he was there, and when he went into the corner, he go down a little bit. Let's watch it right here again.
Here we go.
Is there contact right there? From this angle,
it didn't look like it. It looked like maybe the air was disturbed on the rear spoiler there, and it just jumped off the ground and down on the flat part of the racetrack. And from there, you're just a passenger.
Well, let's ride with Kenny Irwin and see if his car nudges from contact with Dale Jarrett.
Mike Skinner, who led earlier for 5 laps, into 2nd spot. They're going to drop Tony Stewart to at least 3rd or 4th, maybe even 5th as they cross the line.
Looks like Tony Stewart all of a sudden is not able to run his car wide open around the racetrack the way he did earlier. Looks like the 20 car, Stewart might need a little bit of adjustment on his car once these cars start making pit stops, which won't be too long. Look at Michael Waltrip on the outside, and Stewart and Skinner almost get it together. Oh, they're in the grass. Oh, here goes Skinner across in front of all these cars. Yes, there goes Jeff Gordon in the wall. Chad Little, Rusty Wallace. This is Mike Skinner, and he's stuck. It rained heavily last night. And look at the damage on Jeff Gordon's DuPont Chevrolet.
And Rusty Wallace's car also heavily damaged and stopped in turn 3. There you can see how Mike Skinner is not able to get away from his spot out there in turn 3. Jeff Gordon able to get that car started and rolling again as the field comes by. The champion. Let's take a look at what happened again. Here they are moving off of corner number 2. Watch the right of your screen.
Mike Skinner and Tony Stewart right in here are going to make contact. And somehow they get in the grass. And Skinner turns right across the racetrack. There we see Jeff Gordon coming directly into him. All of a sudden, Gordon loses control, goes up, pant, hits the wall, and Rusty Wallace and also Ernie Irvin drive in the right side of Jeff Gordon's car. There we see Chad Little spinning down to the inside. John Kernan.
Terry Labonte, one of the first to hit his pit.
Involved in the accident up in turn number 3. Actually down the backstretch is where it all started.
There's the Pennzoil copy cam. There you see I think a little bit of contact between Stewart and Skinner, not allowing Skinner to get back on the racetrack and get on the dirt and spin. Look at Jeff Burton, the points leader. How close did he come to Skinner as he went by?
There is Chad Little sliding to the inside. Brett Bodine being involved in the crash.
Running into Rusty Wallace down there. There he goes in the inside wall.
And now from Rusty Wallace's onboard camera. That's what it's like to crash at 190 miles an hour. Now this is Mike Skinner.
He knows he's in trouble when you get on the grass.
He comes up the racetrack, and that causes everybody else to hit the brakes, lose control, and causes a multi-car crash here at Talladega. Back to Talladega. We are.
Well, Earnhardt is running in second place.
Oh, man, there he goes. Up the hill. Oh, bam, hard contact.
Several cars again involved. And this is the big one that we had hoped we would not have.
And Jeff Gordon is going to be racing back to the...
Well, there were several cars involved. Let's take a look at what happened.
Was to the left of the... And that car goes up. And boom, along comes Trickle and just runs into the back of that car. There we see Mark Martin getting hit and spun. I think the 16 cars actually got into the 6 car and spun him. Let's see if we can tell from this. I still don't know who that car was that along comes
he gets hit hard.
And other cars, there's Mark spinning in the back. There's another car spinning down. That's Benson, I think. The yellow car spinning down on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, he collects Michael Waltrip. Meanwhile, pit stops. John Kernan.
Jimmy Spencer was over the line. He had to back the car.
At Talladega.
There we see Sterling Marlin gets in the back of someone, and I still...
I think it's Ernie Irvin.
Yeah.
Ernie Irvin in the car number 36.
You're right, Ned.
And there comes Trickle along.
Now, we have seen Dick Trickle get out of the car and being assisted to the ambulance. He did walk away, however, from Wally Dallenbach's perspective.
Look and see how Earnhardt might have got his damage. They check up and he gets hit from behind by Wally Dallenbach.
And now from Mark Martin on board.
sound you don't want to hear.
They go 3 wide through corner number 3. Yes, they do. They're stacked up 3 deep all the way back. Wow.
I think I had Jeff Burton and Carol Walton's car.
Ooh, contact. And Kenny Wallace, Rick Mast in trouble. So Stanton Barrett right here at the tri-oval area. 3 cars involved. There's Stanton Barrett's car, badly damaged in the front end. Now, most drivers are not in the cars that they will be running in the Daytona 500.
I'm going in that number 88. It's a blue car right in the middle of the screen.
Oh, no! We have a problem. And it's the crash that we had hoped would not happen. And look at the mess right here at the start-finish line. Too numerous to count.
I mean, there's just nowhere to go. I saw the right there is where the trouble's going to start. He makes contact with Robbie Gordon. He goes down, hits, I guess that's the 7 of Michael Waltrip, and then, look, there's just no place to go as those guys come across the racetrack. As the smoke goes up, there's nowhere to go except in the side of another car.
And from another angle, watch the contact between the tied car and the one running right beside it. Right there.
And the 40 car of Sterling Marlin goes in the back of Robbie Gordon, which turns him around.
But Marlin, although he may have gotten some damage in the front end, was able to get through it.
And look at that debris up there in front of these cars.
And from another angle, Michael Waltrip took a hard shot at the outside wall, and Ted Musgrave did also in that 15 car. All right, now we go on board with Michael Waltrip.
And we'll just listen this time. I didn't realize he had some damage to his car.
Now from Bobby Labonte's perspective.
Circuit City on board. And that's Ted Musgrave right in front of Bobby. You talk about a racetrack block. He was doing pretty good right till he got there, and it was totally blocked.
Yeah. Now he's going to spin the car around and head toward the pits in the wrong direction. And now from Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s perspective.
Now, folks, I think you understand what we mean by the big one.
But we waited for over 135 laps before we had it.
That's one reason you hate to see caution flags, because they always seem to breed more caution flags.
Under caution because of a multi-car wreck at Talladega. We'll be right back.
Race. 3 Chevrolets on the final lap at Talladega. $2.7 million and $1 million bonus for Dale Earnhardt if he can hang on. The no ball 5 contender, Mr. Restricted Place, Dale Earnhardt comes down and will take his 10th career victory at Talladega in the Winston 500.
A crash as the team across the start-finish line.
And cars slipping and sliding everywhere across the racetrack as the checkered flag waved. The 22 was involved. Ward Burton was involved. The 9 car was sliding.
The 44 of Steve Grissom was sliding.
A.C. Compton was involved. And there, that big fist out the window, Earnhardt pulls up and says, "Thank you, Kenny Wallace." Because Kenny was right on his bumper and gave him the shove. And the shove actually was right by Earnhardt's teammate, Mike Skidder.